Well, hello, we've made it to December and want to share with you the latest data here in the Austin metro area. In this video, we'll talk about some of the comprehensive data we just got in for October, looking at sales price trends. We'll show you the latest on mortgage rates. We'll even talk about some of the current data we have here in December, including inventory and historic sales price trends. But first, we may have an insurance crisis going on that not a lot of people are talking about. But if you own property, you've definitely been paying attention. So we've talked about climate change. You've seen all the hurricanes. But here's kind of an article I thought was really interesting. It came out of the conversation in the past few weeks, and it's got a lot of great charts. So let me share that with you. So according to S&P Global Market Intelligence, homeowners insurance increased in 2023 on average 11.3%. And in some states, including this one, Texas and Arizona and Utah, saw nearly double. Look at this chart right here. This is the average homeowner insurance premium. So the dark blue are the states that have the highest premiums. We're looking at Louisiana and Florida, and you can imagine why. They have flooding and hurricanes. You also have most of the Southeast, along with most of this kind of Southwest and Midwest area, based on a numerous number of factors. Obviously, Texas also is on the Gulf. We have flooding and hurricanes, especially around kind of the Houston area. But you also have windstorms, wildfires, hailstorms, and then, of course, Oklahoma being a top target for tornadoes. Look at the areas that have the lowest premiums, typically the Northwest. And you also have the upper Midwest and the Northeast. As you get into those colder states, yes, they're still going to have issues, but they're going to have less of those tropical storm and hailstorm issues, which tend to cause a lot of damage. So when I skip down here, here are specific companies. So you may have policies with some of these companies. Between 2022 and 2023, Farmers Insurance went up 35%, Liberty Mutual 30%, USAA, Nationwide, American Family went up all at least around 20%. The lower ones on the chart, Chubb was 12, State Farm 10.5, Allstate about 15%, but it doesn't really matter. They all went up 10 to 35%. So if you own property already, you've been feeling it. And if you don't own property or you're preparing to buy property, just be prepared that your insurance quote is going to be a little higher than you thought. These are some other charts. Again, I'll share this article in the comment area below if you want to take a look at it. This is just based on flooding. Where were the big flooding events? Obviously, the dark red shows you where, but you have kind of the Appalachian and mountain states kind of through the Northeast. You got the Florida coast, you have the Gulf Coast, and of course, you have most of the West Coast. So lots of flooding there. I'll skip that chart, but here's the ones I thought was really interesting. Hazard risks by county. So why is this important? If you're buying real estate or you're investing in real estate, I can tell you in talking with our clients and other investors, they're paying attention to this now. They want to know, hey, do I really want to go buy a rent house or a vacation home in Florida? Or do I want to move some of my investments to like the Midwest because maybe they have a lower insurance risk? So obviously hurricanes are most prominent on the East Coast. You've got flooding events, especially down here in the Southwest. Look at hail right down the middle, including North Texas, all the way up through the Plain States. You got strong wind basically in the Midwest and up here along the Northeast coast, wildfires, ice storms. So pretty impressive. Obviously, you're putting a lot of layers in here, but pay attention to insurance. I can tell you it has become a topic of conversation that has grown with my clients over the years, especially the last 2 years. It has become a big deal. And if you're buying properties, the number one thing we have to negotiate over is roofs. In Texas, hail is probably one of the bigger, hail or wind is probably one of the bigger issues here in Austin. And so looking at the age of the roof and seeing if it has damage, that has become a topic of conversation. Anyways, take a look at that article below if you want more information. Here's where we sit on mortgage rates as we get to December. We are now below 7%, which is good news. We're about 6.88%, still high for most people, but more and more data is coming out saying that, look, the market needs to expect that we're going to stay in a 6% range, possibly for another 1 or 2 years. So for those that are hoping to see rates in the fives or the fours, don't count on it. I think we're going to see rates, again, bouncing between 6 to maybe 7.25. Could be for another year or two. We'll see. But for right now, we're at 6.88%. Before we flip over to the October data, I want to share with you this chart because it's going to feed into that data. So here is where we were when we were on August 1st. we were about 6.6%, a little lower than now. We hadn't yet had the Fed announce a cut. And what was happening is rates were coming down, 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 right here to about when the Fed made their announcement. We were in the low sixes. And everybody thought, wow, once the Fed starts announcing, we're going to go even lower. And that is the opposite of what happened. But basically, buyers who were buying in early September were looking at these rates. They were, and this is the par rate, about 6.1. A good financed buyer was probably getting a mortgage and, 5.9, 5.75. And so anyways, they were getting really good interest rates. Well, how did that feed into October closings? You'll see that here in a second. Since then, rates have shot up. We stayed over 7%. For most of October and November. We're just now dipping back below 7. So we'll see how that impacts it in future closings. So let's look at October trends. This is the number of home sales for the MLS areas. This is the last full month that we have data. The orange line is 2024. And look at that blip up, right? What happened? Those rates came down. It pushed a few more buyers into the market and propped up the price a little bit. And so that's what this little blip is. We had more sales in October than we had in September. And so anyways, that's a positive sign, but that had to do with rates. If we look at sales volume, again, that's dollar amount, ticked up a little bit. And if we look at median home size, not much, but it did. It ticked up a little bit. If you look at the last 3 years, we're pretty neck and neck with last year on median sales price for the total area. Average sales price, we're literally neck and neck with 2021, 2023, and 2024. We're all sitting about the same price this time of year. Total listings are coming down. They're coming down slowly, but they are coming down. You can see it starting to taper off. If you look at the other years, they kind of taper off more aggressively, but we'll see what happens in the last few months of the year. Same with months of inventory. Again, still high, about 4.5, 5 months of inventory for the metro. Higher than we've had the last 4 years, but slowly coming down. That's very seasonal and normal. All right, let's look at Williamson County. This is to the north. And so again, there's that price up, number of sales went up in October because of those lower rates. Sales volume went up. Median home price flatlined, but that's okay. Just went up ever so slightly, like $1,000. But again, a little lower than the last 2 years, but pretty close, within about 10 grand of the year before. Average sales price, again, just a slight tick up and neck with the last 2 years. Listings coming down. Now we're on par with 2022. So catching up there. And months of inventory also coming down a little bit, a little lower than Travis County area or the metro. We're seeing that come down to about 4 months of inventory. This is Travis County, which is also Austin and all the main suburbs east and west. We saw a number of home sales blip up, but again, we're really anemically low compared to where we were before. Sales volume ticked up. Median sales price ticked up a little bit and neck with last year. And average sales price, again, ticked up and now ahead of 2023 and 2022 on average sales price. Total listings, again, starting to taper, but still higher than the past several years. Same story with months of inventory. And finally, Hays County, this is to the south. This is the only county where we saw a downward trend. So home sales went down. We saw sales volume go down, continues to go down hard in Hays County. Median sales price continues to go down in Hays County. Sales price down. And listings slowly trickling down. Their months of inventory, they're a little higher. They've had a lot more new construction there. So I do think some of that's playing into that as well. I think the builders continue to give really significant discounts. And that might be what's pulling that median home price down, is giving the buyers those discounts on new construction. So that's a look at October. This is now, as we enter December, this is active versus sold listings. Obviously, we peaked in the summer. We were sitting around 13,700 single family homes. In July, we're now sitting around 11,100. But if we look at the beginning of the year in January, we only had about 9,000 homes on the market. We're still 2,000 higher than that as we finish out the year. We'll see how December ends. But I wouldn't be surprised if we're starting next year, 1,000 homes, maybe 1,500 more than we started this year. And what that's going to do is it means we have more inventory starting 2025 than we've had in the last 10 or 15 years going to market. So it will remain a decent market for buyers. for the foreseeable future until we see some sort of change in the market. Obviously, the spring is typically when we see, here's the blue is what buyers were paying. Sorry, this is number of sales. Sorry, we'll see sales go up in the spring. And so we'll see if that impacts price. It typically does. We'll see a blip up in price in the spring. So we'll be watching that. Finally, here is historic sales price trends for the last 3 years. If we go all the way back to 2021, obviously this was the pandemic sales right there, and we've seen the price come down every fall just significantly. It's been a slow market every second half of the year, but we did see the prices go up in the spring, up in the spring. I predict we'll see that again. Here's the little October blip that we had up this year, but we have seen, if I could draw a line across maybe 425,000, that's where the market has been kind of testing it every year as a low. So far, we're holding there. We'll see what happens if rates can slowly come down, as you saw in October, maybe, or in September. When rates came down, we saw some buyer activity pick up. I think we're going to be very rate sensitive. So pay attention to that. If we can keep rates below 7%, I think the market will kind of hold here. But if rates, go back up and go higher, and stay at or above 7%, I think it'll continue to put some downward pressure on the market. So if you're a buyer right now, obviously we're wrapping up the year. We still have lots of inventory as a total market, but you're going to see, as you really refine your search and get down into smaller areas, obviously you're going to see probably the lowest amount of inventory in the market between now and, let's say, late January. And then by then, we're going to see the market start to pick up in listings again as the 2025 sellers come to market. If you are a seller right now, it's good news that you're seeing a little less inventory, but still there's more inventory than buyers. And so we've got to be really sensitive on price and make adjustments accordingly if we want to get the home sold this month. Anyways, I hope this was helpful. If you want to watch our videos each and every week, make sure to go to our YouTube channel at Ryan Kelly Group, click that subscribe button, and you can keep track of them there. And of course, if you know somebody looking to buy, sell, or invest in the Austin area, now is the time to chat. I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. We had an awesome win over the Aggies over the weekend. Texas gearing up for the SEC championship. Excited about that. But of course, if you want to chat and start planning for 2025, give me a call. Until then, enjoy your week. Talk to you soon.